try to touch.
Hi, Dominique. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So I would love, before we get started, is for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
So my name is Dominique O'Gorman. I work as a medium and soul engineer. I connect people that have crossed over with their loved ones that are still on this plane. And my goal is to help people find healing and build their soul bridges from here to there.
I love that. That's beautiful. I've actually had my own experience with connecting with past loved ones, and it's very comforting to know that there's, that
There's
where
more.
they, yes, there's more.
There's more.
That's the word I'm looking for. So I know you do a lot of sessions for people, and today is kind of a heavy day for a lot of us. Yesterday was the school shooting in Texas. How, as a medium, do you, with your connection to the other side, how does this affect you? Like, I know a lot of us are feeling the energy and feeling heavy, but I would imagine since you have that connection, maybe even more so.
It's always heartbreaking when so many souls pass. It's tragic when these big events happen, but especially when they're children, it feels like we can all feel our souls shaking from it. It's absolutely horrendous. The beautiful part of it is that when these souls leave, they are no longer feeling that fear that they were feeling those last few minutes. What my soul hurts for is the families that are left here grieving. That rips me apart, and I cannot fathom, and I would never want anyone to ever have to experience what these families are experiencing. I just hope one day, it's not going to happen overnight, that they will know that their babies are not scared anymore. They're not hurting anymore. Those moments before are done, and that they are always going to be with them. They're never going to leave their families. But absolutely, the families are crushing my soul right now to even think about. It's horrible.
Yeah. And I think that's what's beautiful about your work is eventually when they can come to talk to you, that they can get that closure, that, knowing that the
Absolutely.
babies are at peace, which is
And,
hard. Like you said, I don't even want
like
to
even
imagine.
then, it's still unfathomable. Like nobody,
Yeah.
there's no such thing as getting over it.
No.
And people that think there's, oh, well, you'll be okay one day. No, you won't. I mean, and that's okay. That's okay to not be okay. So it's just so sad. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. And giving a voice to the people who have passed to the other side is something that you do. But how can we, while we're still here, actually start using our voices to connect to our loved ones, to heal ourselves?
Absolutely. One of the biggest, craziest things to me is when I talk to clients is that they're like, well, can you ask them a question? And I'm like, no, but you can ask them a question. I will answer however the best I can, however they can communicate with me, but don't stop talking to them. Don't feel guilty to laugh. And if you're mad at them, you can yell at them. They can take it. They're okay. I think a part of people struggling to heal is that they're just gone forever. And physically, in a sense, it may seem that way, but talk to them, laugh with them. If you see something funny, be like, oh, I see you. Like, I see the signs you're giving me. If they play music for you, acknowledge them. That will help them in their process that they're going through on the other side. And it will also help you on your process here. I definitely think everyone's born intuitive. Some people second guess it. They're afraid of it. Society wiggles it out of them. But I definitely think trusting your intuition is so important. It's so, so important. Whenever you have that nudge, listen to it, open yourself up to it, sit there for a minute. But I definitely think allowing yourself that space to have all the emotions around your individual that passed, whether it's a good day or a bad day, allowing yourself that space is such a huge part of healing. It's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's something that's hard to do when it's fresh, you're
Absolutely.
just, yeah. When my dad passed away, I was just trying to stay busy, and I'm the oldest. So I was trying to be there for everybody else. And it wasn't until a few months later that I actually started, I think, the grieving process. Cause I wasn't in the place when he first passed away.
I always tell people, because that first year you're numb. Everybody's like, I get it. My mom passed away, my dad passed away. And for those first few months, you're just on autopilot and you're just going, and you're so busy taking care of other people and making sure things are just right. You are just kind of numb that first year. To me, the hardest part of grieving after someone passes is year 2. That's when it sets in like, oh, they're not coming back. Oh, I was so busy last year just trying to push through. I didn't like sit in it. So yeah, year 2 is always harder than year 1, I think, in my
Yes,
experience.
I would agree. Yes. Mhm. So I asked that question. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
No, you're fine. Totally fine.
So most people who come to you, are they in that year 2 and they've been through it, or do a lot of people come to you right after?
I try not to work with people within the first 6 months of passing, if I know in advance. But I make a point to not know anything about my clients before they come. All I want is your contact information and the place of our meeting. I want to know as little as possible. It makes my job much easier. But I've had clients whose mothers have passed away the week before show up, and I've had people who have lost someone 10, 15 years ago. It all depends where they're at and where they're ready to have that connection.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. So how, oh wait, like
No.
not it. Sorry. My energy is like,
You're
"Ooh,
fine.
today."
It is a day. It's a day.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yes. And like talking about the school shooting, and then my dad, like, this is a heavy subject. Like, I'm like,
And the thing is, people need to know it's okay for it to like, I always talk about grief as like waves in the ocean. Sometimes it comes in and it knocks you to your knees and you're like, I'm going to drown here. And then slowly it'll go back out and you're like, okay, I'm all right. You can stand up, but it definitely comes in waves. Absolutely. That's how grief works. But yeah, this work can get very heavy very quickly.
yes.
Just like that when you don't expect it.
Yes. But for me now, it's comforting to know that I can connect with him and I can, get his messages. Like his birthday's in the winter. And so I went to visit his grave and it was freezing cold and I could hear his voice. He's like, why are you standing out in the cold to look? Yeah. He's like,
what are you doing?
Yeah. He's like, this is ridiculous.
Absolutely. And that's what's so great about this is when they pass over, everything just seems like it's such a different perspective. And I try explaining things that like when you're here on earth, like if there's a car crash 10 blocks down, you can't see it coming. And it seems like all kinds of stuff. But up here, when they've already passed over the other side, the perspective is different. And they're like, you are going to bump that car, then that's going to, oh, this is going to be bad. Why are we doing this? Like, hold on, like, just wait a second. So it's just such a different perspective on things. And exactly, my dad, before he passed away, he's like, I ain't trying to be buried somewhere. I don't want to be sitting down there. I don't have to go cry here. Go live for me somewhere else.
Yes.
He's like, and it's very interesting. But I love that your dad's very much like, what are you doing? Why are you out here freezing right now? Just come out here when it's warm. It's fine.
I know, yeah. Yes.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yes. I think, there's that. Sometimes you feel that guilt too for not going to visit their grave more or anything, but
right.
Like you don't have to go to their grave to connect with them.
No, not at all. I have actually told my family, I'm like, don't you dare shove me in the ground somewhere. You don't, I will haunt you all. I know the keys. Like, no, we're not doing that. Like, no, we're not doing that. I want them to live and experience every day. Like, go to that really cool concert, go on that cool road trip. Mm-hmm. That's how you can visit me. That's how you can continue to live on for me. Not, don't go be sad and cry somewhere at some rock. That's not what it's about.
Yes, exactly. That's not what life is about.
Yeah.
Even though it can be hard some days to remember that.
It is. It's not easy. I'm definitely not easy. I mean, my mom died 8 years ago, and to this day, I'll go to pick up my phone to call her and be like, well, if she answers, that's going to be a whole other problem. So like, I totally get it. Like, it's one of those things. Like, let's just, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I know that you have been thinking of starting a podcast. So what has held you back from actually jumping in?
So to be completely honest, like when I'm with clients or I'm talking to a group or we're having a workshop, everybody's super like, they're there because they want to hear it and they want to talk about it. My fear is if I start a podcast, I'm like, why is this girl talking about death? Why are we talking about dead people right now? So that's my big concern, is that I'm not going to bring to the table what people want to discuss. But that's also part of showing up, whether anybody else shows up or two that I'm shows up for it. I still need to be able to show up. And I think that's what I'm working there currently.
Yes, there's going to be people who want to hear your message, who are going through the process and like, what can I do? Like, how can I do this? And they're going to want to hear what you have to say. And I really think it would be cool to do an episode when you're having a session, like if somebody's open to that being public.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like, that's what I was like, I don't know if you're okay with this, but you're like, as soon as you said your dad, like, I'm seeing this cool truck and we're doing this. And I'm like, I want to connect with you so bad. So we'll have to have a conversation.
Yes. Oh, I am open to having
I would love that.
yes, I am open to having one. My sister is too. She would love to do a session.
Let's do it.
Yes.
That'll be fantastic. Absolutely.
Yes.
That would be great. And yeah, I try not to approach strangers or people I don't ask for, because we never know where somebody's head's at. Like,
Mhm.
you may walk, like I see these people on TV that'll walk up and to people at grocery stores, and I'm like, you don't know if today's the day. Like, don't do that. I've only had a handful of times where like their spirit is pushing me, like, if you don't, I'm gonna follow you home until you go back and talk to them. But for the most part, I try not to share those unless people ask me specifically, because we don't know where people's at.
Yeah, that can be hard. Yeah. And there's some people who don't believe in the other side. So you coming up could be
Absolutely.
a confrontational moment for you that you don't want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hands down, one of the coolest, and to this day, I love to share her story, and she always tells me, like, please tell everybody, is one of my first group readings. We had about 40 people there, and the woman whose space we were at walked up to me. She's like, just so you know, I don't mind you using my space. This is my family, but I don't believe in this. I'm a very God-fearing woman. What you're doing is not God's work, but I just want to let you know I have nothing to do with this. I'm like, okay. And after 4 hours of watching the spirit run back and forth behind her, but it was a different face, but it was the same energy. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I knew it was the same person running back and forth, but they kept changing what they look like literally for 4 hours. And at the end of it, I was like, I know you don't want to talk about this, but I have to tell you that this girl behind you just is sending you so much love. And it's just overwhelming. And I had to come and tell you. And she literally sat down and started sobbing. And she's like, that's my daughter. And it broke me. And we sat down and talked for an hour, just me and her. And her daughter had special needs, which we talk a lot about on like our TikTok and Instagram, is people with special needs that come through. And she said every day my daughter would go in her room and come out dressed totally wild and be like, this is what I want to wear. But she was nonverbal, so she couldn't like say it, but she communicated in her own way. And she said every day she'd come out with like neon green fishnets and polka dot like pink vet, like every day it was something crazy. So and to this day, her daughter is one of the spirits that have stuck with me ever since. Like, I love this girl, and her mom is one of my biggest clients. She sends everybody to me. We meet once or twice a year just to catch up. So it's wild the way it works. I love it. It's so great.
That is beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love that story. That
It's
is
so cool.
That is the best story.
It is the best. I love her, and spirit works how it's supposed to. But yeah, that's how it all started. I don't know if people are going to be open to it. So I try to respect it and be like, unless you ask me, I'm not gonna push it on you.
Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb for just about anything, trying to push things onto people. Yeah.
Boundaries, they're important.
Yes. When it's the right time, they'll reach out.
Yes. They'll let me know.
Yes. So are you doing anything to like help you overcome this fear of starting a podcast? Or
I'm like I said, I reached out to you because I was like, okay, you're like the podcast guru that I know, and everybody's like, go talk to Jillian, let's go talk to her. So when I reached out to you, you definitely gave me the push. I created the account, but I have not taken the leap to do it, and I need to do it so bad. But that's just my personal thing. I'm good at like pushing other people out, but I need to like shove myself off really hard. So that's what I'm working on it.
Yeah, it gets easier the more you do it. Once you record that first episode and get it out of the way, you're gonna feel a whole lot better.
That's how it was with TikTok too. I was like, oh, this is so awkward and weird. And then once I did it 2 or 3 times, I'm like, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It just becomes easier. Yeah. Yeah. My first interviews, don't listen to them. They're really bad. I was so stiff. I don't think I moved. I was like, just like read the questions.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely awkward and quirky, and I embraced it a long time ago. So that's just,
I love that. Yes. Yes. Embrace it. So if anybody is new to this, connecting with the other side, the spiritual world, do you have any book recommendations? Because I love reading. So
of course, Sylvia Browne is like the like godmother of like all that do this. Like, I love her. James Bond Prague, of course, is great. John Edwards is great. Tyler Henry is a super in the news name right now. So if you are interested, he has two fantastic books. His newest one is Here and Hereafter. I highly suggest, even if this work isn't for you, it's great to read and it will really, really help you with your healing. There's also, he's not really a mentalist. He's a visual seer. He's he's trained in the military. He's fantastic. John McGonigal offers some incredible classes and workshops, and he has great books. It's a fantastic way to work on your intuition and trusting it and how to work it. It's really great.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And do you have any favorite podcast?
I am kind of obsessed with like serial killers and murder mystery podcast. We have a mutual friend that that's how I read for her a few years ago, and her father was killed by a serial killer, and for years they all thought it was this one individual that killed him. But the first time I did a reading, he kept popping up with this particular image in the backseat of a car, and they're like, we have no clue what you're talking about. That doesn't make any sense. And over a year and a half, time period, that every time I talked to him, I was like, he's still showing me this weird toolbox in the back of his car. And finally, her sister was listening to a serial killer podcast, and come to find out, the serial killer they always thought killed her father had an accomplice for a few months that hung out with him with the last name of Tool when they were driving through that area, and he fit the MO of exactly how her father was killed. And as soon as we connected the pieces, well, she called her mom called me, we had a big conversation, and as soon as we had that discussion, he stopped coming through. He has not come through since then. So I'm obsessed with these podcasts about unsolved mysteries and crazy off the wall, like murder mysteries and serial killers, because it's crazy how these things piece together. I've got to work with some really cool missing, persons cases, and it's always crazy to me the way the universe pieces together these little pieces, like these little trinkets of things to like make all the pieces come together to fill out the picture. So I'm obsessed.
True crime podcasts are big right now, and I feel like what you do would weave into that really well if you did a few episodes like that.
I will love to. It'd be so much fun. Yes, I love like true story, unsolved murder, serial killer things. It's so weird. I'm so weird.
Yes, it's a big thing right now. I don't listen to any of them, but it's big.
I will be in the shower and pop one on, and I'm like, this is so crazy. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, this has been a great conversation, heavy at times, but really good. I feel a little more uplifted a little bit after all the energy that I've had today. So can you tell our listeners, how can they work with you?
So I'm kind of everywhere. I'm on Instagram at Dominique.medium. I'm on TikTok by the same account. I'm on Facebook as Dominique Medium and Soul Engineering. I will gladly send you whatever links if that helps, and we'll get them all out there. So anything at all. You can find me anywhere.
I'll put all those links in the show notes and
all those things.
Yeah, all the things. Yes, go connect with Dominique. She is amazing, and I can't wait for my session. I am going to book one. Me and my sister are doing a session.
I'm so excited.
Yes. So thank you again for being on, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day.